Hey guys, so I was recently digging through my video game collection, and I came over a couple of 8-bit Atari cartridges. These would be for the Atari 400, Atari 800, the XL and XE series. And basically I found all of these and I wanted to take them apart and do some cleaning. Now, I've actually never taken one of these apart, so the first thing I did was look online to, find any clues, and I couldn't find anything. So that made me decide to make one by myself, so that if anyone else is wondering how to take these apart, at least they'll have a little reference point. So there's two things you need, and that's a standard Phillips screwdriver, and you're also going to need a tweezer. There's a spring in here, and that makes that a little easier. So the first things first is, of course, on the back here you have a very obvious screw. So you take that out. Just like that. And without a cartridges, you kind of, take them apart at the seam. But that's not how it works with the 8-bit cartridges. Instead, this is an aluminum, let's call it a sheath almost. And you can see here that it's got a little indentation at the top. So what you need to do is just push it that way. And that'll then slide out just like that. So now that you've got the actual metal casing off, the next piece is to get this off. Now you can see here there's a very obvious pin, but if you push that back and then wiggle this loose, it's still going to be stuck. And the reason for that is because it's actually sitting inside a little cup or holder right here, and that's preventing that from sliding out. So what you need to do is actually put it back down in its original place, and you want to push this in first. Now, it has a little safety feature so that you can't simply push it in. Instead, you just use your tweezers, push down the little divider there, and now you can see that that slides in without any problem whatsoever and reveals the pins. So we're just going to hold that back, and then we're going to pop the one in the back here, and just very gently try to maneuver that out. So now that we've got this in a position, we can release it and it'll get trapped on this, and that gives us a little bit more leeway to work on the pin here. And now that that's done, we can then take the actual motherboard and just slide that straight out just like that. And you can see here where that little spring is that I was talking about earlier. So in order to get that out, we're just going to put that back in its hole and just take the tweezers and just release those. And I find it helpful to spin it 180 degrees so that I can get a hold right here where you can see that there's a little pin that's holding this in place, and just lift that over just like that. Now with the spring gone, we can take the final pieces out. And that's pretty much how you disable one, or disassemble one, I mean. So putting it back together again is a lot easier. Now, of course, at this point we can do a thorough cleaning. We could, clean up the pins, wash everything of the plastic. So that's how you disassemble one. Now let's put it back together again, and we'll start with the tray right here. And you can see that it has this little pivot point, and that is going to go in just like that. So, the side that sticks out, that's going to go on the side that right here has a little groove for it. And then we can put that back in right here, and the little flap is going to go towards the actual case. Then we'll take our spring and just slide that into those two grooves and just push that over that little holder right there. And you can test it out, make sure it works. Now that we've got that in place, we can then move it up a little bit here so that it's easier to put this in the correct alignment, which is right here. And then just slide that whole thing down, and you have to push a little bit once that you have it all aligned. So, just like that. And then just push it down on the back. Put the aluminum cover on. Slide that into place. And finish off with the screw. So as you can see, it's a lot easier to put back together again than it is to take it apart. But there you have it. That's how you disable one of the 8-bit Atari cartridges.